I'm Christie Tracy.
Oh, I thought. Is that it? I'm Leah Thorvilson. Hi.
Hi. And how do you know each other?
We are teammates on 3T-Q&M cycling.
And where are we at?
Borrego Springs, California. To think about it for a second.
And why?
Because the World Time Trial Championships are this weekend.
And Leah's here to do what?
Race the 6-hour time trial. Because I conned her into it.
Well,
Primarily
originally is, can you help me crew
She's
for me?
crewing. She's crewing for me. I'm racing the 24-hour and starts Friday at 5 p.m. to Saturday at 5 p.m. And Leah is crewing for me with Jamie because she is like the best bestie ever. And then I did happen to drop a little bug in her ear about maybe she wanted to race the 6-hour the next day after she crewed for me.
And I love dumb ideas.
Well, the last time you helped crew was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
And you ran a mile.
I ran a mile-ish for every lap she did for 24 hours. So I ran a marathon in the course of 24 hours, which sounds easy. And it was easy for a while, and then it got hard. And when I went home from that trip, I didn't do anything for more than a week, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean, to me, that's like a proper off season.
Yeah.
Like 1 week of literally every day waking up like still too tired.
But you're a runner, right?
A former runner, yeah. But
you do the ultra stuff in running?
I did marathons and I did some 50K. I did ultra marathons. I did some 50Ks and a 50 miler was the longest I ever did. But now I mean, not counting that Borrego Springs marathon across 24 hours, I haven't run a consecutive over 20 miles in a decade. So, yeah.
So, but this is your first ultra race.
This is my first
Road.
ultra cycling race. Yeah.
So Christie's first ultra cycling race was a what?
6-hour.
And-
6 hours at Pace Bend.
And then you're like, I can immediately go to 24. And I was like,
No.
breaks,
Well, that sounds
breaks,
about
breaks.
right, though, because she did what? She did a 1,000 mile race this year. 1,000 meter
true.
race.
Something. Yeah.
And is going straight to what? 3,000 miles next year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one,
We can't fix
Oh,
stupid.
me.
yeah.
No, but yeah, I did a 6-hour and then I got hooked, and then I did a 12-hour and then I did a 24-hour. And
Well, you're very
then-
inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
love it.
Wonderful teammate, wonderful friend, but it's just, there's some things that you do that I don't think I will ever do. If for no other reason than I don't like riding in the dark.
Yeah,
I don't
well-
like driving in the dark. I don't like riding in the dark. Kudos to you. But I was like, oh, but maybe I could do the 12. And then I was like, I don't even know if I want that much in the dark. But the 6-hour.
Well, see, I don't run, period, unless I'm being chased and I don't have a bike available to me. So there's things that you do that I wouldn't do.
Speaking of bikes,
Mhm.
so you both race for 3T-Q&M.
Yeah.
3T doesn't make a TT bike.
No, they do not.
So what are you doing?
I'm racing. They have a new Strada this year, the Strada 2.0, and it is being billed as the most comfortable aero bike on the market. And so I'm putting that to the test. I made a few modifications to it so that it will support aero bars. And I have my Strada set up with aero bars and a disc wheel. So it's like a Zwift bike where I've got a road bike with a disc wheel and aero bars, and I'll be racing that.
And we'll just be displaying that Friday. If people
Yeah,
check it
yeah.
out.
I'll be doing a big post with it.
Yeah, and then so TT bike, you didn't want to fly out here with one, so we're like, hey,
Right.
we'll figure out a bike for you to use. So what are you using?
Currently, the plan is to use a 3T Exploro gravel bike
Yes.
with aero bars and road wheels.
Yes, 60s. So
It's very comfortable. Yeah.
and you can just rock and roll.
But I can rock and roll.
Rock and roll. All right, so you got the bikes, and we're gonna make sure 3Ts like their bikes are, because you actually did a test with the 3T.
I did a test with, I have a Factor Slick as my TT bike, and I have the 3T Strada 2.0, and I have power pedals. And so I calibrated the power pedals, put them on my Strada, set the crank arm length to 170, and did a lap holding 185 watts with those pedals. Then I switched them over to the TT bike, recalibrated them, set the crank arm length to 165 for my TT bike, and then did another lap at 185 watts with the TT bike. And I was really surprised to find that the Strada was actually slightly faster than the TT bike on this particular course, which at a glance looks flat, but it's got a deceiving amount of elevation gain. It's like a false flat, and we jokingly call it the hill because it doesn't look like a hill, but on the 25th lap, it's like a mountain. Yeah, and so the weight savings with the Strada, but also being super aero, ended up being faster than the tank of a TT bike on this course. So,
All right.
yeah.
So, what's the game plan? We'll start with the 6 hour.
Well, we're going to start with getting through the 24 hours.
Well, no, we're going to make sure you have crew rest because you're racing Sunday.
Yeah, and I think it's sort of funny because when it comes to race preparation, particularly this one, I mean, it's a little bit different for Christie. When I came to do this crew for her 2 years ago, she had a spreadsheet down to like the amount of ounces of water and the count of trolley worms she was going to eat.
How long did that last?
It didn't last long, but it was still impressive. I mean, a literal grid that was like 9:05, swap out this for this, eat 10 trolley worms, drink 2 ounces of, and it was versus like my game plan. It's changed a bit since I've got here, but my game plan was kind of just like, I'm just going to show up and wing it. I mean, it's just 6 hours.
Well, I'm telling you right now, and I told you that when you helped me, I'm like, look, she has a spreadsheet, and you're like, oh, this is awesome. Like, it's going to last for about 2 laps, and you just throw this shit away.
You did.
And literally, like the second lap, she calls us on the radio, hey, Audible, I want this.
Yeah.
And so that's working with ultra cyclists. Once they get into that race mode, their brains go into overdrive, and they're doing math, they're doing calculations.
Yeah.
I want a pickle Slurpee with a chocolate peanut butter sandwich. I mean,
and I think that's to that point of the Slurpee and the sandwich. I mean, I think the biggest thing that I need to think about as far as like dialing a plan is to keep hydrated, because I tend to not drink enough sometimes until it's too late and it's going to be hot. So I think that will be kind of the key thing I can plan. And then as far as the actual ride itself, like Christie's got a much better sense of, you know, I can hold this power for this long. And this is just kind of new to me. So it's going to be hard to not go out trying to pace close to the leaders. And I don't know I don't know these racers really. Like, I mean, I know a few names and I know who's got the course record and all that, but I don't know how they ride the race. So I don't know if it's like, are they a very steady rider? Do they start slow and gradually pick it up? Do they start fast and burn out, but they went out so hot that everybody else was dropped? Like, I don't know. So all I really can control is my race. And I'd like to think I have a sense, but I don't have it dialed to like, well, I can just hold this power for 6 hours. I just kind of have to go with a feeling and we'll see.
Generally speaking, the first 3/4 lap is you can draft.
Yeah.
And then you got to break up. And that's what we would call it dig out. I mean, big board that's when everybody just launches and they throw all their game plans out the window.
Yeah.
And they're like, nope, screw it. Christie's done it. How many years?
This is my 5th year.
And how many times have you said, oh, nope, I better go?
No, so this year, I'm being very much regimented on the first lap, and I'm not gonna get. So they changed it, and in previous years they had a set point at 3/4 of the way through that first lap that you had to be broken up by. Last year they were like, no, just don't draft at all, and that didn't work out because there was no set point. So like everybody kind of drafted until they forced them to stop. This year I'm hoping that everybody behaves themselves a little bit better, but even if they don't, I'm just going to hold my numbers because I know what I can hold for 24 hours. And I know if I go out too hard, like last year, I really let it get to me. And I almost blew up my race in the first 2 laps because my heart rate was like 175, which is insane. Because I was so frustrated and so pissed off at all the people that were cheating out there. And it was me that they were sitting on. And it was a very frustrating situation. So this year, I'm not going to let myself get caught up in it. That is my number one goal, is to race my race for those first 2 laps.
Can we make another goal not to get lock yourself in an outhouse?
Yes, I will try very hard not to lock myself in a porta potty. And speaking of spreadsheets and whatnot, so like I said, this is my 5th year doing this. And every year leading up to this year, I've done like this super detailed spreadsheet of like lap times and exactly what I want every lap, and blah, blah, blah. This year, I'm just winging it. I mean, I know what works for me. I've been doing this long enough that I know what works for me. And so I'm fueling primarily with Carbo Rocket and Flow Formulas, a combination of those two. And then when it gets colder and I don't want to drink as much because I don't want to have to pee, then I've got some gels to get me through the overnight.
And somehow, folks, and I don't know how she does it because she can't remember my birthday, but she could call back and tell Leah and I, hey, on that lap, wasn't I supposed to be in by this time and have 6 trolley worms, 2 gels, 1 banana, 1 fruit punch, and a drink.
And a Coke.
And a Coke.
Coca-Cola.
I mean, she had 6 hours in the race. She remembers all that. But as for my birthday, oh.
No, so this time I really am. Like, I know I'm going to be telling them, like, every lap I want a bottle of either Flow or Carbo Rocket after the first couple laps, right? And then when I get cold, I'm going to be like, all right, switch me to gels. And then we're just going to do hand ups. My strategy this year is going to be not to stop as much as possible because every time I stop, I have a hard time getting going again, even if it's just foot down for 30 seconds. So I really want to try to roll through with just hand ups and keep going and hold my numbers, and we'll see how it works out.
So question, if it comes down to, like, I mean, for me, this is probably more for me, but if in your final laps, it's a tight race, somebody unexpectedly is, and you've got to pee. Do you pee on your bike?
Nope. I cannot do it. I cannot do it.
And if not on her bike.
Some people will. A lot of people will. I cannot do it.
Any ultra cyclist mechanic.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We do not grab a saddle or the top tube without wearing a glove.
No,
I don't think I could do it either.
No,
I have a funnel.
But I can legitimately see myself having that debate
with yourself. Yeah.
Because I really want to make a conscious effort to drink, and typically, like, I tend to be a camel in both. Knock on wood. I'm just gonna like have to pee the entire race. But it's not typically a problem. But I also haven't done. I mean, I've ridden for 6 hours, but when I've done 6 hours, it's been a ride where there was
a group ride. Yeah.
Stops.
Yeah. No. If you maintain your fluid with the direct sunlight,
you should be all right.
You should perspire enough that you won't have to pee.
Oh, I'll perspire.
Yeah.
Mama know how to
glisten.
sweat.
She'll glisten. She'll be glistening heavily.
Mama doesn't glisten.
And Christy has spare shiwis.
Yeah, I'm going to ride with the shiwi. And usually I will use the, even with the shiwi, I'll use the porta potty.
Is the shiwi the stand-up to pee thing?
Yeah, it's a little funnel that is made to fit female anatomy. So you don't have to take your kid off. And normally I'll have it in my pocket, and I will try to use the porta potties at the start-finish line.
Yeah, that's where you use them.
That's where I use them. But the nice thing about them is that I don't have to take my kid off. So I can walk into the porta potty and just pull the front of my bibs down and insert the funnel and pee like a dude. So you don't have to mess with sweaty.
I have more fun questions.
Yeah.
If you win, I know it's hard to say because you can think one thing, and after 24 hours.
Oh my God. Scotty. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Oh, hey, bud.
After 24 hours, you might not want what you think. But what if you were thinking about it now? If you win the race, what's like the first thing you want to treat yourself to?
Honestly,
that could be like sleep. That could be a snack. That could be a beverage.
Like right now, in this moment, I would say ice cream, right? Like, because I love ice cream, or a margarita, because I've been abstaining from alcohol for 2 months in leading up to this race, and I love a good margarita. But knowing myself, I know that I will be so sugared out over the course of 24 hours and Carbo Rocket and Flow Formula that I'm going to want a burger. I'm going to want a big, fat, juicy, salty piece of meat.
And then she usually like comes across the finish line, flops over almost dead until she sees her friends, and all of a sudden she's got this spontaneous energy, and she's just like, dun, 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 dun. Yes, it was awesome. Yes, Coke chair. No.
Yeah, I always want to cook. Oh, baby, Scooby. Woo!
That was years of me.
Yeah, but no, honestly, like I would usually say ice cream, but I know after 24 hours of sugar, I want salty meat.
And also, really, first thing is probably, especially for 24 hour, you just want to get out of the kit. You want to get back, runs down real good.
I know what you're trying to say.
Rinse the downstairs.
Rinse down.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we're all set.
Yeah.
We have Paige coming too.
Yeah. Paige Redman is coming, and she's racing the 12 hour. So we have each race, we have somebody represented in the house. You're doing the 6, Paige is doing the 12.
So, which brings the question: next year, maybe we can fill all the slots with 3T girls, ladies.
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know if
Jenna.
I don't
Jenna.
know who I can definitely see convincing someone else to do the 6 hour, but I can just feel the energy. You're thinking that I'm going to graduate up.
Hey, I think you are. I think you're going to get addicted. You're going to be like, this is awesome. Imagine if I had my own bike.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
But the dark. I don't know.
I know a guy who can make the 3T aero bars. So you can use clip-ons on your 3T Strata.
That has nothing to do with how dark it's going to be at 5 a.m.
I'll give you 3 headlights. I can light the
There's
world
certain
up.
things
Stop
I'm just
it. Let her
weenie
get
about.
through the 6 hour before
we'll see
you
what
start
happens in the
hounding
6
her.
hour.
All right.
We'll see what happens.
So here's your 2 24 hours for next year.
Oh,
All right,
stop.
on that note, we'll see you next time.